We all want more power in our golf swing. Most people who come through the door for lessons want to see not just an improvement in strike, but they want more speed, more power as a byproduct. And it often happens too. It's something that is a natural bonus, if you like, to improving how we use the ground. It's a byproduct. And what I want to show you is something that can make a big difference. It's something I've used a lot in the past, but particularly this week, a couple of guys came. John from Sweden, I used to work with him a long time ago in Germany. He's a PJ professional. We ran a coaching academy out there. And also Chris from down south. He's a PJ professional. He's a coach too. And he's getting ready for the senior tour for next year. And it was the same exercise using these two pieces of kit that made a massive difference for those guys. And moving forward is a real focal point in terms of how they're training to get the most out of their exercises, because we've got to find a way that resonates, something that really stimulates the system. These training exercises are all stimulating us and challenging us to develop our awareness, ultimately through these sensory feedback loops. And this is a real sensory feedback loop. It's a real trigger point, if you like, for helping cue our movement and anchor feelings to these patterns, which is so important for how we simulate and intend to move in the future when we're on the golf course, and really important in terms of our pre-shot routine. We can introduce this into our game seamlessly through the pre-shot routine. That really is a way of transitioning what you're practicing into on-course performance. So what I've got, these are not available yet on the market. It's a GRF Infinity foam pressure dome, and it provides a rebound. It's a firm, dense material that gives us some feeling, some feedback. It doesn't just squash, it's something we can actually push off. But you can use a tennis ball. So if you haven't got one of these, which I'm afraid you probably haven't, because only people who come here for golf lessons who are lucky enough to get one, it's a tennis ball. So grab a tennis ball, chop it in half. What we're going to do is use some trusty duct tape, some Gorilla Tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this and I'm going to stick this half dome. So take your half tennis ball, place it under the lead foot, so my left foot, under the point, or on the point, where you would push off the ground from if you were jumping. So have a little jump, feel where you're jumping from. If you're not sure, place your half tennis ball, dome up on the floor, and where do you feel you would push off the ground from underneath the foot? What part of the foot are you going to use to push off? Find that part of the foot that you're going to push off. I can feel that there. And then what I'm going to do now is turn it around. So now I've turned the dome round, so I've got the flat surface there attached to my foot. And what I'm going to do is wrap this tape around it and place the flat part now on the sole of my foot. And I'm going to wrap that round my foot. So I've now got this little trampoline, because that's what this does. It provides a little trampoline effect. And it really helps us recognise where we're pushing off from and where we're loading. And when we push off, it's going to help shift the pressure through the foot, through the ankle, into the heel. So it's going to help us extend and rotate that ankle, which helps us extend and rotate the hip, ultimately allowing us to rotate the pelvis and sequence and transfer this vertical force from the push-off through to the golf club. So how did I get the guys to explore this? Well, it's a simple step drill. It's a simple GRF step drill. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, but starting with your feet together. So you start with the feet together, just get a freewheeling swinging action with the club, not rigid with the arms and the shoulders, and not a full swing, just using the wrist to get some momentum. And we're going to make a 1, 2, 3. So the 1 is swinging forward. So class this place as 0, okay? Because the numbers, as in the exercises that you see, the 1, 2, 3, 4, are phases of motion. The number is a motion, it's not a position. So that's the 1. Swinging forward is 1. Swinging back is 2. Dropping is 3. That's about to come now as we squash the pressure dome or the tennis ball that's under your foot, hopefully. So we're going 1, 2, 1, 2. Face is closing and opening freely. The wrist is hinging freely. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to go into a 3. Now it's all about the drop. It's not so much about the step. We are taking a step, but only a small step, only at the most shoulder width. Hip width is fine. 1, 2, 3. So as I'm still swinging back, 1, 2, and as the club is still swinging back, we drop, we press, not push, we just drop, which presses this into the floor. It squashes it. By us falling, we're not pushing into the floor. We don't push into the floor, we push off the floor. We fall, we flex, we load into the floor, and it's the push off that's coming next. And that's really going to access that vertical force to recruit that really powerful chain for more club head speed and more power. So we're going 1, 2, 3. So the club's still on its journey back as I drop into 3 and squash that ball. You should kind of feel the two in sync. Maximum pressure as you feel maximum stretch. This stretch here through the lead shoulder, the lat, you can feel it in the upper arm, you can feel the load on the wrist. This is really in time with the squashing of the ball. It's simultaneous. So it goes 1, 2, 3. Maximum load across the joints, maximum load into the floor. Ready to push off and then fire the sequence and release those levers. And that's the number 4. So here we go. For the full motion, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how fast that movement is with the foot and the ankle and the hip. It's a very, very sharp impulse, and it's really enabling us to push off at the speed we need to for this chain to react and for us to utilize that natural sequence. It's like throwing a ball. We used our lead side quickly. It's all about the rate of recruitment. It's okay pushing off, but if we don't recognize how quick and agile we need to be doing that, then it's too slow, it takes too long, and the body probably won't even use it because it's not even recruitable. So something else takes over. So even though we try and do it, something else is happening, and it often just creates more problems. So feet together, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I'm actually unweighting. We want that tennis ball to reform, and then you'll kind of find yourself re-landing. You're taking off. So be careful here, guys. Don't do this in your socks and on a slippery floor. Make sure it's safe. Use your golf shoes. Use trainers. Use a firm, safe surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice it's sending me back. I'm pushing off, and it's now sending the pressure into the heel. It's sending me back. This might be an unusual place for you to go, but it's absolutely essential for you to create the movement that will counterbalance the golf club. Your body will counterbalance the direction the club's traveling and allow it to accelerate and continue on its arc, on its journey. It's going to maintain the trajectory of that arc. So you've got a more recognizable, consistent arc. It's not getting thrown off path. And so therefore that creates havoc with our release and face and path. This is going to not only increase your speed, but potentially also just help stabilize your face and path through awareness. So it's going to be a more consistent face and path relationship. You're going to be able to sense it rotating on its arc for longer. We're not making lots of movements all in a very short space of time, throwing us in different directions, and it's very difficult to make sense of what's going on through the feeling. Here, it's much cleaner. There's less noise, less interference, and our movement is facilitating that, and it's encouraging more speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, into a nice finish, fully extended, and just by pushing off, it's almost like a wedge. It's naturally taking me into my heel. So a lot of us who finish on our toes and spin on our toes or fall forward are going to really benefit from this. It's going to enable us to feel the heel. You're going to be able to feel that lead heel in your finish. And that in itself will mean that you've rotated to the target, or past where the target is. We rotate further left naturally if we've got that movement available to us. We've already used the pelvis. The torso can react. The arms can swing freely, and the club over the shoulder then falls into a nice balanced finish and we're in the heel. So if you find that you don't often complete your finish, this is also a fantastic exercise for it. So hitting a shot with the drill, nice and easy. Take your stance first and then bring the lead foot back. Otherwise, if you just stand to it with the feet together, when you take your step, the ball's going to be way too far back in your stance by the time you get to the golf ball. So take your normal stance. I'm going to just go a little bit narrow so it's a bit more comfortable, just like a 3/4 swing. Bring my lead foot back. So now my lead foot is kind of in line with the ball. Because I'm only going to make a small step, little half step forward as I drop. Don't need to make a big step. It's more about dropping. So it's going to be now 1, 2. So I'm going to swing it in the air and play the shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was okay, not bad. Don't worry too much about where the ball's going at the minute. It's all about just letting yourself react to this push-off. It's the first ball. We're not expecting miracles. We've got to have realistic expectations. These things take a bit of time to get used to and refine. First of all, we've got to just explore and discover these movements. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've had one right, one left. Feels a bit wild, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm just feeling the pattern. Most importantly, I can feel this. I can feel myself using it. So what I'm going to do now is go to a normal stance. I'm not going to swing the club forward. I'm going to shift my pressure forward and I'm going to squash this ball. So not only is it helping me now with my vertical for my sequencing to get more speed, it's also helping me start my golf swing. It's a little forward press. We've got to shift forward first. We've got to have a little counter move forward to create that reaction back, and then the club reacts to us and the whole thing flows. We're actually moving way before we see the golf club swing, because the golf swing doesn't start when you take the club away from the ball. You've already set the thing in motion. You've used the ground, created the pressure shift for your body to react to, and that creates momentum, and that enables the club to react and swing. So a little shift forward, a little forward press with the hands maybe. Don't get too rigid, trying to control the club. Squash that ball before the club goes back. And now you've got that little subtle shift. You'll see a lot of the top players shuffling, shifting, using that momentum, ready to swing the club. Use the swing weight. So it's a little 1, because now that becomes the 1. 1, 2, and 3. So the 1 encourages the shift of pressure and the weight transfer to the trail side, which is the 2. And you can see the club reacting, still swinging up. I drop into 3, which is now squashing that tennis ball, and then we can push off on 4 and let the levers go. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is a totally different feel and shot. Now it's gone right bang in between those other 2 shots. One went a bit left, one went a bit right. That felt really good. That was much more in time, much more recognisable as a golf swing. But with this stimulus here, this sensory input here really enables me to recognise how I'm using the floor. I'm feeling the pressure. If you've watched the videos with the pressure plate and the data, this is the graph. I'm feeling myself load. The graph goes up, that slope, that goes up to peak vertical force, and then I push off and it drops down quickly like a heartbeat, and that's loading and unloading. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm gonna have to finish on that one. So absolutely busted that, and my mind is away from thinking of the golf club. I'm letting this just react to my intention. So guys, let me know how you get on. I'd love to see your comments and get your feedback and know how it's going, and stick with it. Utilise this with other exercises. Mix and match it. You can introduce others, so you're not just practicing one thing. Give yourself a fair amount of time at it, but then bring in another exercise, maybe the infinity shape. Make that figure 8 with the golf club. Start to feel the path and the face closing. Start to sense that release. Maybe do some chipping, then build it up. Go to the driver. Make your practice really creative, imaginative, engaging, and you'll get so much from these exercises. So guys, let me know how it goes. Look forward to seeing your comments.